Welcome to the video on Lesson 4.2, Basic Proportions. A proportion is a comparison of two numbers, and when numbers are proportional, they increase or decrease in the same ratio. There are really three steps to solving a proportion equation. Over here on the right-hand side is an example of a basic proportion equation. Two ratios are set equal to each other. The first step to solving a proportional equation is to cross multiply. The product or the property that we're dealing with here is that cross products are equal. So when I do the cross multiplication, which some teachers have always done like this shoelace look, you multiply them together. So n times 5 is 5n, 4 times 2 is 8. Their cross products are equal, so we continue to have an equation. The second step is to divide by the coefficient. So the number in front of the variable, in this case, is 5. So we're going to divide both sides by 5, and we will end up with a decimal answer of 1.6. The final step is to just label any answer appropriately. That's going to be more important as we get into the real-world examples. There is no label on this, n just equals 1.6. Taking a closer look at what that answer means, when you have a fraction of 4/5, 4 is very close to 5. So when we look at a number that needs to be very close to 2 in order to complete this proportion equation, because they are equal. So 4/5 has to equal something over 2. So they should have that same relationship. So 4 is very close to 5, and in the same way, 1.6 is very close to 2. That's just a way to do a quick check to make sure that your answer actually makes sense. Let's take a look at some examples. In this first example here, again, I'm just going to do the three steps. Cross multiply, so 5 times 5 is 25. 9 times b is 9b, so 9b equals 25. Second step is to divide by 9. So when they're just straightforward problems like this, I'm going to keep this one as a fraction because it ends up being kind of ugly. When it's just a basic proportion like this, there's really just two steps: cross multiply and divide. The next one, cross multiply, 6 times x is 6x, 2 times 9 is 18. Please don't forget to put that equal sign in there. I get lots of students that just leave that blank. You want to make sure that you do set the cross products equal to each other, because that is what allows us to then continue by dividing by that coefficient to get a nice equal 3 in this case. This last example is just a little bit different because I've put a quantity in the numerator, and it can be anywhere in this proportion equation. This one just happens to be up in the numerator, but it is this b minus 8. And you just have to pay close attention that when you cross multiply, you're really doing 5 times the b minus 8 in parentheses, meaning that we're going to end up needing to distribute to get 5b minus 40 equals 12. From the 4 times 3 equaling 12. So it's still solving this or following the same steps. We're cross multiplying. We're just not able to just go straight into division because we have the grouping and a little bit longer of an equation to solve. So I'm going to add 40 to both sides to get 52, and then I'm going to divide both sides by 5 and get b equals 10.4. Okay, so as you can see in just these three examples, I have a fraction answer, a nice pretty integer answer, and then another decimal answer. So these can kind of be anything, so just be aware of that. These answers, when we are dealing with problems that have the quantities, are a little harder to check, like the one I mentioned before. So let me just do a review of the checking process. At least I'm going to check with number 2. So number 2 would be saying, okay, like 3 over 9 is the same thing as 2 over 6. And they are, in fact, equal. 3/9 does equal 2/3, 2/6, because technically they both simplify down to 1/3. 3 is 1/3 of 9. 2 is 1/3 of 6. They have that same relationship. And as long as you're doing all of this correctly, 2 and 7/9 has the same relationship with this 5 that this 9 has with this 5 down here. And again, when you have the answer of 10.4 in this quantity, that just becomes a little bit harder to see without doing some extra work. But just some quick checks to make sure that you're on the right track. So go ahead and try these next three on your own, paying close attention to the fact that number 5 here has that quantity of x plus 2 in the numerator. All right, taking a second to check your answers, you should be getting y equals 11.5 for number 4, x equals 3 in number 5, and y equals 36 in number 6. That concludes this video lesson on solving basic proportions. Thanks for watching.